Hey guys, in this video we're going to be building a responsive form. Okay, so this is how it looks. We have a background, we have three properties, and you can be able to extend them if you want. So if we click submit, it's not going to submit. Then we can type in some our details, and now it's going to submit. Okay, so let's get started with the HTML quickly. I have a blank HTML file, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a div class of login. And inside here, we're going to have a h2 that says login form. And inside here, we're going to have an input colon email, and we're going to give this an ID of email. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a label, email, and email. So notice that the for attribute and the ID attribute, they have to match. That is something. So even if you are not calling it email or you're using something, one kind of ID, make sure these two and these two match. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this three times, paste and paste. So we're going to change this to password, and we're going to change this to password. Remember, our type is also going to be password as well. So the password, okay, why this one is going to be C password. That stands for confirm password. That's why I call it C password. I don't want it to be long. It's like an abbreviation. And why here is going to be copy paste. Okay, now so we have the basics down, but one more thing that we need to do is that we have to have a button that says login and a paragraph tag. So paragraph, I'm going to say it says forget password. A tag, and we're going to say forget password. So now I think we are done with the HTML. We can view this in the browser by clicking go live here. But because I have the live server extension, so we can see what we have. It's very basic. Then we turn it into something like this. It's a CSS. So let's come to the start of CSS, but we have to link this first. Save now it's perfectly linked. What we do now is that we start styling it, but there's a particular font I like using. There's a particular font I use here, so to get this font here, and I would like to use that as well. It's called Kim Sans. So first of all, we're going to get that from Google Fonts, or you could use your own font actually. So getting a font from Google Fonts is dead easy. So let's start first of all with the body. The body is going to have a background color of we could keep this side by side because we're building a responsive form. So let's come here and come to our one version. So we're gonna say body background for what's the color again? I think it's 4F52E4. So that's that background color that we have there. So what we're going to do is that we're going to center it using flexbox, display first, justify content center, align items center, and width 100% doesn't work, so we have to give it a mean. Sorry, height 100% doesn't work, so we have to give it a mean height of 100 view heights. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to target the login. So the login, we want to give this a background color of white, a border radius of 4 pixels, a max width and width are not the same thing, a max width of 400 pixels. Okay. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to use a padding of 20 pixels just for that space. And before we finish, let's just add one last thing, which is the box shadow. So box shadow, we're going to give this 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels, hashtag CC. So those were the first, these are coordinates. This is not, the first two are coordinates. Why this is specifies that there should not be any, oh, sorry, should be 10 pixels. These are coordinates, and why this specifies the spread, as you can see that there's like a, it looks like it's glowing. So login h2, text align center, and we're going to give this a color of hashtag 555. That to make sure it's not really that dark. Margin bottom of 20 pixels. So what we want to do now is that we want to target login input, or we could just target the input since there's only one input on the, there are only there's only one input on the page. But the inputs that we want to target are the passwords or the email rather. Or we could just target all the inputs like this. So what we want to do is I want to give them a width of 100%, a padding of 10 pixels or rather 12 pixels, 20 pixels, a margin of 8 pixels 0. We want to give them display inline block. I know we have some like margin is overlapping and it's overflowing, but we're going to fix that in a second. So we're going to give this box sizing border box. See, now that fixes it. So the next thing that we're going to do now is that we're going to give this border radius 4 pixels. And finally, we want the font to be much bigger, so font size 16 pixels. So let's bring in that font because this font is the browser default font is very horrible. So we're gonna bring in that font. So we're gonna guess full screen this a little bit. So we want 400 and maybe 700, but for the H2, we're gonna copy this uh, and copy this. So we're gonna put it side by side again. So the second one we're gonna paste it here, and while the first import dot slash, sorry, okay, this is what it is. So save that, and if you come back now, you can see it's much better than what it was before. So what we want to do now is I want to target them when they are focused. But before we target them when they are focused, let's adjust this border. This border is not very good. So border 1 pixel solid CCC. Okay. So now that's nicely done. So we just have to just target them when they are focused. So input colon focus. What do we want to do when they are focused? We want to set the outline to none, and we want to give them a special border of 1 pixel solid, this color at this color here that we assigned at the beginning. Paste. So nice. And finally we want to give it a box shadow. Box shadow 0 pixels coordinates, remember. Then the spread should be plus this color. Okay, so when we look at that now, it has this kind of box shadow. Pretty nice shadow, as you can see. So the form is coming out pretty nice. So the next thing I need to address is the login button. What we want to do here is I want to give it a background color of this color. I think we should save this color to like a variable because it's super useful. So color white, padding 14 pixels, padding 14 pixels, 20 pixels. And we want to give this a margin of 8 pixels 0, a border of none, and finally, and let's give it width 100%. Ooh, the button looks good, but if we compare it to the original, you can see that there's something that is missing, and I think is that is we have to give it a border radius. Border radius maybe 4 pixels, and font family is not inheriting that font, so font family inherits, and now it looks like that font. And let's make this font bigger. Font size 16 pixels. One more thing as well, cursor pointer. As you can see, now we have that pointing cursor. Let's come here, we look. You can see that when we hover over it, it has this kind of nice hover state. Let's do that as well. And you can see that there's no hover state whatsoever. So the button, the button or the login button, they are the same thing because there's only one button on the page here. We're gonna say hover. So what I just want to do is I was going to change the background color to something a little bit more darker, which is 2A to EBF. Okay, that's a darker color, so it's just my bad. All these hexadecimal colors, I don't quite like them. So text decoration none. We're gonna give this a text align of left. Sorry, sometimes I forget my right and my left. Ah, oh, so it's supposed to be to this side actually. This is strange. Hmm. So what we could do is that we could just leave it there. It's not actually doesn't have to be at the ending of the page. So when we hover over it, we want that text decoration back. So text decoration underline. So save. Uh-huh. You can see that that's back. And finally, let's target the label. So the label, we want to give it a font weight of bold, a display of block, and a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Ah, nicely done. Anyhow, if you want the forget password to be over here, you could use position absolute to just drag it over here. But that's a bit aggressive. But I'll show you how you can do it. Sha. Just see something like position absolute. First of all, we'll give this form. Where's the form here? We'll say form position relative. Then we can just give this after. Okay, we'll take this up first of all. After giving this relative and absolute, now we can position this anywhere we want here. So we can just say right 0. Sorry, think. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. It's inside the paragraph tag. It's actually inside the paragraph tag. Sorry. So this is not how we should do it. It's inside the paragraph tag. Let's not use position absolute. It's inside the paragraph tag. I forgot. So it's the paragraph tag that we can see text and line right. Aha. So that works easily. So thank you for watching to the end, and this is how you build a login form. I hope it was pretty simple because it wasn't really hard actually. You're just applying some basic styles. and I showed you how to bring up a font from Google Fonts. That must be useful. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. If you want the source code, you can comment below and I will give you the source code or the source files, or maybe I might even put them in the description down below.